Hey, what is up, everyone? This is welcome to the latest episode of Plead the Sith. I am your host, Elias. The Sith Lord himself, the Doctor of Style. Well, that's what Rudy calls me. I don't really think I could dress that well, but it is what it is. We take our nicknames as they're given. If y'all want to give me another one, drop them in the chat. Our chat it's powered by our sponsor, MCS General Contracting. Shout out my boy Chris Leha. USOA is great. Um, I hope y'all are ready. I have a very controversial guest on the show today. That's my boy from another network, the other half of the Area 210 podcast. Y'all know him as Skip. Here's the myth, the legend, the mouth. It's a one mouthy motherfucker, and I'm glad to have him on my side. Come on to the stage, Mike Jimenez.
What's going on, my man? Glad to be on, brother. And I
What's
told you before the
what's
show
going on?
started, this is your show. I'm just here to be a passenger. And whatever you want to ask, go ahead and ask. Jimenez After Dark. Let's make this happen.
So yeah, bro, let's get it going. We have shout out everyone in the room right now. Currently, it looks like we have El Jefe in the mix. Chris Leha. If y'all want to ask Mike anything, y'all go ahead and drop the comments in there, and we'll get to them. So Mike, are you ready?
Let's do this, baby.
As you know, we had the other half of the Area 210 podcast in the mix. Joe Garcia, you kind of got him into a little bit of trouble, Mike. I know you might not see it that way. I want to get your take on the whole censorship situation. I was like, is my father my dad? Because you sunned me just like you did Sohan and Kelvin and all them other motherfuckers, bro. Give me your view on or your insight on that whole situation.
Okay, I didn't think it was censorship at all. Okay, because I think that that's being framed in a different way. Because people can have their own platforms to do whatever they want to do. This is your show. So you guide this particular show the way that you want it to be. And the show that Joe and I have is our show. It's not any more his than mine. It's not any more mine than his. But the fact of the matter is that
Preach.
I was talking to people about the show, and it's funny because we have people who are on this stream right now, which is powered by MCS General Contracting, and they listen to the show that Joe and I do. And you would think that they're the only people who listen, right? Because you see the same 15, 20, 30 names on the chat. But there's a silent majority of those who don't do that because they're at work or they are in the car or they're at home working or whatever the case may be. And those people have been reaching out to me whenever I see them or they DM me or they whatever. And they come up to me and they say, "Hey, man, I stopped listening to the show because it got a little too racy for us. I didn't like this. I didn't like that." So basically, I wasn't trying to censor. I was trying to bring back listeners who had fallen off. And to prove that this is actually working, Elias, nine of the 15 most watched shows that Joe and I have ever done, last 6 weeks. Think about that. We've done 400 shows almost.
Fire.
9 of the 15 most viewed shows were in the last 6 weeks. So there's proof in the fact that you have to make it a marriage between your own personality and also what the people want as well. And I'm trying to kind of walk that fine line between the two. And I wasn't trying to sun you, man. And I apologize for to you and to Chris if it came off that way. That's not what I was trying to do. As a man, what I should have done is brought you off to the side and talked with you one on one, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And I did it very flippant, and that is my bad. Okay. I apologize for how I went about doing it. I don't apologize for the sentiment behind it, though.
No, I get you. I get you. And it's all respect on my end, Mike. You and I, we talked after that. You were like, hey, same thing you're sharing to the public, right? And I get you. You're trying to build up the show even more than what it is. It's one of my favorite shows on YouTube. I, you and I met through there, of course. I tuned
Yeah.
in since the acquired taste, actually. But it's good, bro. A lot of people, yeah, the motherfuckers in the chat in the morning, Mike, aren't gonna let it go. So once they went with the whole, oh, you're being a Karen movement, they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And me, I'm easy to persuade, I guess. I got pretty heated on my end, and I was like, nah, Mike, you're not gonna do that to not to my boy Chris. I mean, because you ended up giving me a couple compliments, so that kind of went to my head too. I'm a conceited motherfucker. Everyone on here knows what's up, but but yeah, bro, it's all
Well,
water under the bridge, over the bridge, or what's up?
oh, I'm just, just looking at it. There's an evolution to a podcast, right? The evolution is you start off and you get the first 30, 40, 50 views, right? And that's a pretty cool thing. And then you get to 100 views and you're like, man, I got 100 people who watch this show. And then it gets to 200, then it gets to 300, then it gets to 400, then it gets to 500. The problem that Joe and I had was that we were getting it to a certain level and then it was receding. And there was a point in time about 2 or 3 months ago where Joe and I had a conversation about, do we want to stop doing the show daily? Do we want to do it maybe 2 days a week or 3 days a week? Our numbers were looking really bleak there for a while. And I don't know why. It just happened. I thought the shows were still good, but it just happened. And as time went on, we started building a larger base, maybe not a better base, a larger base, so that now our baseline of minimum number of listeners or viewers per day is what we used to be considered good. What was a good day back in the day is now a bad day today. And this is happening in July, which is the slowest month in sports by far. Wait until UTSA football starts and NFL, Cowboys, and Texans, and wait till the Spurs regular season starts. Our numbers should double, if not triple, at that point. And I'm just trying to set the foundation for that. And Joe is too. But I should have gone a better way about doing it. But I'm not saying to not cuss forever. I mean, I've let out 2 or 3 curse words the past week or so. It just can't be every other
Yeah,
sentence,
you.
because what that does is it limits your listenership and viewership by probably 50%. Because 50%, because there are some people who are going to be like, keeping it real, keeping it puro, right? But not everybody's real, not everybody's puro. And it's all about the numbers when it's all said and done. So you got to walk a fine line between the two.
No, for sure, bro. Like, I totally understand where you're coming from when it comes to, building up the show, building up the audience. And, shout out, congratulations on the new sponsorship, PF Chang's. My broke ass has been there twice, Mike. So, you're going to have to pass me some gift cards or some shit, bro.
Oh,
So the
we're going
first
to
time we
get them.
went,
Now, we have a little bit of an echo. I don't know if that's
let me
on
give you a
my
quick.
end or your end.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. I'm not really Mike Scabby. I mean savvy. I'm not my boy Joe. Oh, echo cancellation. That's on me. Could be on my end. How's it sounding? Better?
Oh, better, better. It's actually 100 times better.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, that was on my end. Yes. Sorry. All right. Hey, anyone talking shit in the chat? Fuck y'all. It's my show anyway. I'm just kidding. So, so Mike, yeah, bro. So it seems like a lot of people really they're trying to stir the bucket here in the chat already. They're
Oh,
trying to
you
get
know what?
they're trying to get me to
Whatever they
cook
want to ask.
you.
Whatever they want to cook away.
Whatever y'all want to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. So a lot of my boy Matt Gomez, he has, he runs the SAFC Fancast. I don't know anything about the football club, but I'm always supporting my boy. He wasn't a big fan of the comments you made calling football, especially in San Antonio, a broke sport. So Leha wants me to ask you, why don't you support more local teams? The Missions, the SAFC, they're a part of it beyond just the Spurs. So why is your coverage mainly just about the Spurs?
Well, I don't want it to be mainly about the Spurs. I mean, I want to go back to the days where we're doing a lot of pop culture references as well. Um, it's one of those things where, to be honest with you, people care about the missions when they're at the game. When you go to the Wolf and you go to the game, and they care about it then and there. If you ask 100 Spurs fans right now, or 100 sports fans in San Antonio, hey, what's the mission's record right now? They don't care. They don't know. It's a minor league baseball team that I know we get some certain good players that go through there and go to the Padres eventually. But for all intents and purposes, people go to the missions game simply to get away for that night. There are no missions diehards. They don't exist. There isn't a missions tailgate. There isn't a missions fan club. And if there is, it's got 6 members. Okay. I enjoy going to missions games. I have rented out the party house in there. I have rented out the upper deck box for my clients before. I give money to the missions when it comes to that type of support. I love going to the games, but am I going to talk about it? Not really. Not really. San Antonio FC is a different sport, man. I think San Antonio FC really deserves its own channel. I wouldn't do it any justice if I did. Okay, because I don't know enough about soccer to be intelligent about soccer, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I avoid it so much. Do I see the popularity
Well,
gaining?
for
Yes, and
starters, said for starters, you got to call it football because I almost got canceled for calling it soccer, bro. They said soccer is what the kids play, football is what the men are playing. So that's just a little correction I had to make for
yeah,
you before they
I'm
come
never
at
gonna
your
do
ass.
that, dude. I'm never gonna f that, dude. Not gonna do that. It's soccer, dude.
Is
It's
that
soccer.
is football too ethnic?
It's not
Soccer
too
is what they had.
ethnic. It's not too ethnic. It's just
Soccer is what they
come on.
fucking had.
Are they playing
Come
football
on, Mike. You
in
you got it.
Michigan, or are they playing soccer in Michigan?
Football,
So, I mean,
man.
I
Soccer is
and
what
I've gone
fucking
to
Airbud
a
was
couple.
playing.
I've gone to literally 2
Go ahead.
SAFC games. I've literally gone to 2, and I've enjoyed my time in there. One time I was in the bunker, one time I wasn't. Enjoyed myself out there. It's a great venue. It's a great atmosphere. The tailgate was pretty decent. I was actually pretty impressed by it all. But I bring nothing to the table in bringing up talking San Antonio FC because I don't know enough about it all. I know that I'm a t-shirt fan when it comes to soccer or AKA football, right? I'm a t-shirt fan. I'm gonna give you an example.
Football.
My girlfriend's daughter lives in Miami. She goes to college over there, so we go and visit her every 3 or 4 months or so because she gets homesick and she wants to see her mom. I'm trying to get it so that Miami FC is playing that day because I want to see Messi. Not because I'm a Messi fan, although he does wear a jersey this color. Not because I'm a Messi fan, just to say that I did see him play. That I checked that off as a sports fan that I saw a legend play. So I want to go do that. I want to experience that. And I've told her that on my bucket list is to actually go to like a Man U game or whatever. Not because I'm the biggest football fan or the biggest soccer fan, because I want to say that I had that experience. But I do know justice, and I can talk baseball like crazy. I can talk because I know a lot about baseball. But if I'm going to talk about San Antonio FC, it's just going to be painting around the edges, man, because I don't know enough about the the um, the rules or the strategies behind it all. I know what offsides is. I know what a header is. I know what a bicycle kick is. I know what it means to do a corner kick and what it means to do a penalty kick, and I know what a handball is. I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't want to sound stupid. It's kind of like me with speaking Spanish. I understand Spanish a lot, but when I speak it like a third grader. And it's one of those things where I don't want to be like I'm a huge
You
sports
sound you
fan.
sound like a Sabo kid.
I don't want to be a soccer sabo kid.
Go
That's basically it.
ahead.
Does that make any sense?
No, I feel that. I feel that. No, it makes plenty of sense. I told my boy Harry and Matt, actually heading to one of their tailgates at the end of July. The Nesios and Susios are linking up, and I'm like, bro, I'm just there to eat some food and get fucked up because I have no absolutely nothing about soccer beyond what I saw at Air Bud. When he
Yeah.
transitioned from the court to the soccer field. That's as far as my knowledge in the sport goes. I mean, if you want to start reporting on it, Mike, you could do what a bunch of these Twitter people do: follow legitimate companies and just bite off their articles, right? Use a little
Exactly.
AI to
Have you
to
seen
rewrite their shit, right? I could start
have you
calling
seen
Dusty
Chance the
Mike.
Rapper? Have you seen Chance the Rapper on Saturday Night Live when he was hosting a couple of years ago? If you haven't, check it out. There's a scene in there where he's the normal Knicks reporter and he's being told to go report on the Islanders because one of the reporters got sick, and he goes, "I don't know anything about hockey," and he goes, "Man, they're skating kind of fast, they're doing that hockey thing, because he had no idea what the hell is going on. I don't want to be that guy. It's a great skit. I'll send it to you, but it's so funny because he had no idea what they were talking about, even though he's a diehard sports fan working for a sports network. I don't want to be that guy, man. I understand the popularity is there. And when I said soccer is a poor sport, that's actually actual and factual. It is a poor sport worldwide. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have the most number of viewers. It just means that it's enjoyed worldwide because you really don't need much to play it. And what I enjoy about soccer fan, football fan, is how into it they are. I enjoy the passion that they have for their teams, that they sport the gear. What I like about football as well, you know what time the game's over. The match is over at a certain time. You go to a Spurs game, the game could be over at 9:30, could be over at 11:15. You don't know. You go to a soccer match, you got to get there on time. It starts at 7. We're out the door at 8:50. Book it. Add the few minutes of extra playing time, and you're at your car by 9. You know how it works, right? So there's certain things that I love about it, but it's one of those things also that the best US athletes don't play football. They play American football. They play basketball. They play baseball. They play other sports. It's kind of hard for me to kind of get into that. But is that Alamos? Is that Joe? Mike says if you can't
Oh,
afford to
that's
play a
Joe. I was
sport,
waiting for
make
you to
more
read it.
money. Make more
Make more
money.
money.
Fantastic. Fantastic. What's up, Joe?
That's probably my new favorite quote from y'all. Anytime anyone tries to bring up an argument, it's like, you know what, bro? If you're broke, just say that. Go make more money. I'm gonna need that Mikey Mendes shirt to wear on here.
Make more money. You
So
know
people
what?
are
And
saying I'm
it's
taking it easy on you,
I'll tell you,
that I'm
come
cussing
at
a
me.
little less
I
this episode.
I mean, I'm not gonna be like, Say by the Bell, come at me, bro. But I mean, come. I don't care. Chica's not home right now. The kids is playing Roblox in the other room. I got nothing going on. Bring it. This will be a choir taste after dark if you want to.
Fuck yeah. I mean, hey, you have something there, bro. Acquired taste after dark. Let's show the people what you're capable of. Are you Poodle 2? Are you willing to open up on here? Because they say that you do hold yourself back a lot on Alamo City, bro. But I've
I do.
heard a lot of from the outside looking in, right? They say that you tend to actually babysit Joe a lot. You tend to cut him off and whatnot. People reached out and they said, ask him how he really feels about his coworker, is the respect, or your co-host. Do you feel like you're more important to the show than he is at times, or give me your from the outside looking in? At times, you do
Outside
tend to
looking in,
talk over him and whatnot.
and that's
From the
something
outside
that
looking in,
okay. So that's actually a 3-layer topic there. Okay, so I'll kind of address all of them.
let's
That
hear it.
was my issue at San Antonio Sports Star as well. I would do that to Pledger. I would do that to uh, Joe Reinagle, and I had a problem with wanting to speak my turn and not having patience. So that is an ongoing problem that I've had for a long time. It's not a disrespect thing. It is me just being stupid. There was a time in today's show because
It's a
I
mic
listened
thing.
to what's that again?
No, I said,
Well,
oh, it's a mic thing. I said, I feel it. I do the same
yeah,
shit. I talk over people.
yeah. So we did the
No, go
show
ahead.
today, right? We did the show today, and I listened to maybe 30 minutes of it earlier today, right? Just I was doing dishes. I turned it on. I wanted to hear how it sounded and whatnot. The most proud moment I had of the show, which I thought we had a good show today, the most proud moment I had of the show was about a 2.5 minute time when I shut the F up and let Joe cook. And I had to recognize that Joe's cooking, right? And I think that if there's something that happens between me and Joe uh, that we are both guilty of, is that when one of us is cooking, the other one has to like let the other one shine, right? I fail at that all the time, and I need to get better at that. So if it comes out at me being that like it's more my show than his show, I really don't feel that way anymore. I think he and I had a really good talk about the show months ago when we were breaking it down as to what we wanted the show to go. And there's still an evolution of it all. Um, but there's no show without Joe, because I can't do what you're doing right now. The electronics aspect of it, running the chat, all that stuff, have no desire to do it. Joe is very good at what he does, and he's a very good producer. When we first started doing it, it was MJ Acquired Taste. It was a segue from my old radio show into a podcast format, and as it has evolved, it has become more of a two-person show, which is what it should be, because one-person shows suck. So I'm glad that Joe and I are now having that rapport. But one thing that they'll say about sports talk radio, and we had this at San Antonio Sports Star, is that for every show, there's a driver and there's a passenger, right? And back in the day, I was the driver, Rob Thompson was the driver, Jason Minix was the driver, and the passengers were typically Joe Reinagle, Rudy J, and Pledger. And what that basically means is that there's a person who presents the conversation and basically does that, the headline, the presentation, sets the table, and then it becomes 50-50. So in actuality, if you
Yeah.
want a 50-50 show, it's really going to be 60-40 because it's somebody's job to segue and put and set the table. But that's my personality, and I have a hard time with that because the drivers of shows like to talk, and if it comes off where I'm being disrespectful towards Joe, I'm not trying to be. I really am not trying to be, and I've become more aware of that. No one here had to tell me that, and he doesn't have to tell me that because I already know I need to shut the fuck up sometimes. I do know that, and the proudest moment I had today was that 2.5 minute when he was cooking, talking about the Spurs, and I had to backtrack. And that was my proudest moment. I was counting how long it was where I shut up, and I was proud of that today.
Hey, you became self-aware, bro, and that's step one of getting better. I tend to talk over everyone, man. I know Jeff keeps inviting me back to Los, but I have a hard time, finding the gap from when he's talking to when I'm supposed to talk, and it's kind of just I'll tell Jeff, I was like, bro, it's also my ADHD that's running. I always want to be the lead man, but sometimes you just have to take a back seat, let your homeboy cook. And that's a good thing. That was a good dynamic between Brandon and I. We had two explosive personalities, and Medina was just like, boom, boom, boom. Let's finish each other's sentences. He we just gelled well together. Um, so yeah, I get what you're saying. You actually got some love from your co-host. He said, "Real talk, the Area 210 podcast does not exist without Mike, and much respect to my brother. Much love, Joe. Glad you're in here listening. But
And I think
I want
I
to get into this comment. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say,
No, you're
when
fine.
you
Go
have a
ahead.
co-host, at some point you build rapport with them, and you get to like see where they're going. It's like a relationship that you have with a girlfriend or a spouse or whatnot, where you know what they're thinking and you know where they're going, and you get to fill in the blanks. I'm glad that you had that with Brandon. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Yeah, you guys kind of. No, you're fine, bro. Mike,
See,
we shut the fuck up for 2 minutes. I'm just kidding. But no, man, I want to get to Mario Cavazos's comment. He says SA Sports Star is all white. We joke about, the whole ethnicity stuff when it comes to you. We don't call you Miguel Jimenez. You're Mike. You're Coconut, right? Do you
sure,
think I remember when you got released. Sorry about that. Fuck Mike. What's his name? Jim Rome or whoever the
yeah.
fuck. No one listens to that dinosaur. I'll say it for you so you don't get in trouble. Do you feel like your race had something to do with you getting dropped? Do you think it played a little part in that, Mike?
No, I feel it played no role. Although when I brought it up,
No, bro.
when I brought it up, it was kind of like an oh shit moment for them because they didn't want to be seen that way. I remember I brought it up afterwards because it wasn't only me, because immediately after I left, Rudy J left as well, and Sports Star became all white. And I would have conversations with some people there at the station, some of them on air, and I would talk about the importance of representation within a city. And we had conversations not only about about radio, but TV news as well. That you want to have somebody there that is local and someone there that is representative of the people. San Antonio is what, 60% Hispanic, if not more, and
Yeah, something
because
like
of that, 60, maybe 70%, 65%, right around there. And I mean, the South Side, the West Side, half of the Northwest Side. I mean, the numbers go up there. And I think it's important for radio stations and TV stations to know that. I mean, look at like uh, the local TV station here in town, Ken's Five, had Isis Romero, right? It went from KSAT to Ken's Five. It's a great hire because people understand that name Romero, right? Um, it's important to have that. I don't believe race played a factor in my release. I think what played a factor in my release was the fact that I was a contest winner and I was always seen as such. And for many books are ratings periods. They hid the ratings from me. I would always ask. I'd ask the powers that be over there, what are my ratings? What do they look like? And they would always say, they look good. They look good. They look good. And that's all I would get. Not a tangible number, right? When I found out what my numbers were, I was number one for sports talk radio, like citywide. Now, it doesn't mean that I had the most number of listeners because I had a higher percentage of people listening, but fewer people are listening at noon that are listening at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 in the morning. So they had more listeners than I did, but I had more listeners in proportion to my time slot. And they started dicking me around a little bit, man. They started dicking me around with my salary, which was agreed upon for the full year, and they were trying to come at me to try to lower my salary and whatnot. So it wasn't like one of those things where I was like, "Oh, well, you got canned, man. You got shit canned, and therefore, you were told not to come back or whatnot." I had the highest ratings of my time slot by far, and I had a high. What was interesting about my ratings was that my ratings were high among 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60-year-olds. And I had a high percentage of women listening too, like an odd percentage of women listening. So I it was a blessing in disguise because I got to go back and focus more on my business, and my business has done well, and I have the 1099s to prove it. But sorry, I just got to be a dick somehow, man. No, but I love everybody over there, man. I love Pleasure. I love Joe Reinagel. I love Jason Minix. My old partner Rudy J. I've mended fences with Tim Spence and all that stuff, and they're very complimentary towards me as time has gone on. Minix brought me up on the show the other day. They were making fun of me on the show, and I haven't been there for 2 years, and they were making fun of me. Um, love those guys. It was a bad situation. They need to have more Latino representation there. Um, it's a shame that they don't. It's a shame that they didn't hire somebody for that. And it hasn't been the same, man. And there's a reason why the ratings there are a little bit shaky compared to what it had been in the past. Because I'll be honest with you, I thought
Yeah, I
that at
heard.
the time, am I okay?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say at the time,
Yeah,
I thought we
you're
had a
fine.
really good I thought we had really good synergy going because the morning show fed into me and I would bake it and then I would say something stupid and then Joe and Jason would jump on top of it and then it fed around to the next day. And it was almost like a lot of the silly comments I was making, whether I believed them or not, more often than a lot I did, was kind of driving things. And I miss those days, man. I miss my guys. I miss Pleasure. I hope to see him this weekend. Um, but I don't think race had anything to do with it. I think economics had something to do with it. I think the respect factor had something to do with it because I was just some contest winner. I wasn't this lifer in the radio game. Like, how dare Jimenez do well in radio?
Hey, bro. At the end of it, fuck it, bro. Whether you came upon through a contest or not, look how far you've come. You've done well for yourself. I'm not trying to kiss your ass on here. I don't need people calling me Mike Jr. all over again. Took me a while to shed off that name, and I'm still not forgiving you guys. Swiss, face photoshopped you and I on a Brokeback Mountain photo that went semi-viral a couple times. So
No, those
Swiss,
are
if you're in the
fun,
chat,
and
fuck you, but I love you.
I've enjoyed a lot of
Go ahead.
those photoshops and whatnot. Some of them are good. The one most recently of me in the Rockets jersey with my arms out, without an undershirt, that was so good, man. That was so good. And I show them to my girlfriend every once in a while, and she'll start laughing at it. I only got mad at one of them, and the one I got mad at was they did it where it looked like it was a news story on KSAT 12 of me being quote unquote wanted for child pornography, or that was the only one that went above the line for me. Okay. I've
I
enjoyed
think
all
I
the
think
other
I
ones.
remember. I think I remembered. I think someone had dropped one, kind of mentioning that you were fucking animals or
Something
something, and
like
they
that.
used your
And
picture.
and and they
That
had
was
like they
brutal.
had a KSAT logo. It looked legit. It looked legit. It wasn't like, oh well, it's a fake funny Photoshop or whatever. That one looked very legit. And at the time, I was in the middle of a very, very big case transaction at my work that was gonna set my year off in a good way. And can you imagine if that Photoshop had jeopardized my business? Because
That it's all fun and games till they start costing you money, dog. I feel you.
well, It is, and it's one of those things where I have clients who listen to my podcasts. I have clients who came from the podcast, but if you're someone who's vetting somebody, if someone's going to give you money to invest, and they're going to give you half a million, $1 million, $2 million to invest, guess what they do? They go into Google and they search you, right? They want to look at who you are, whatnot. And I've had a lot of times people have come up to me who I've had as new clients come up and go, dude, I was searching you online. I see that you do a podcast. I was listening to it. Another reason why I'm toning down the cursing as well, by the way. Um, but had they stumbled upon that and said, "Well, what's this?" Even if I came at them and said, "Dude, it's just a funny Photoshop," it was a Photoshop. They're part of a podcast, or it's part of my podcast, or it's a listener, or somebody that follows me on Twitter, and then it sets the whole rabbit hole about it all. That was a big case. That was one of the biggest cases of my career going down at the time, and that thing got released. That's why I got mad. And it also got mad because even if that big case was not happening, just if you want to call me a Rockets fan, great. But as someone who's a father, don't call me a pedophile, dude. Especially one who has
Or a
daughters.
dog
Don't don't
or a dog fucker, bro. That
I missed
I'm
that
not
one,
trying
baby.
to
I
laugh
missed
because I
that
know
one.
you're in the presence, bro. But oh man, that was brutal. But Mike, you do tend to catch a lot of shit on social media.
Oh, Midtown says he apologized, right?
I
And you
was
know
actually
what?
gonna ask.
Midtown says he apologized, right? And he did, and I
Go ahead.
accepted that apology. And it's and I don't everything that he's done since then has been amazing. I have no problem.
Yeah, no, bro. I mean, it takes a man to man up and reach out, take the apology, and not go on and stand on business, and try to cook you again. But Mike, I've seen and I've talked to a couple of the fellas that some people don't know the difference between roasting and attacking, right? I
Mhm.
know I was one of the first ones who jokingly brought up your divorce. Sorry about that. Oh, congrats on finalizing on the second one. But I've seen some people come at you, calling you everything from fucking, from this dumbass, this fat ass to that's why saying comments like that's why his wife left him and all this shit. Oh, I don't have the skin for that. I get, you're very good at holding your own. You forgive and forget, or you just ignore them. I can't do that personally, Mike. How do you do it to not go back at those people? Because, you know, the second y'all mention my wife, my kid, I'm gonna crash the fuck out, and I'm just giving everyone heads up. So you're more
You
of a
know,
man in that case than I am, Mike.
this is a conversation I've had with people in the media, from people on the radio, podcasters. Carolina Teague is one that I've spoken to about this. Is that they're going to be haters out there anyway? You know, uh, doing a podcast or a show is about 80% you, 20% shtick, or 90-10. And it's more real than not, right? And I think that there's a very good book called How to Deal with Difficult People, and I read it a long time ago. And it basically talks about like how to talk to people who are displaying anger at you, but trying to hide it in comedy. And the way that you do that is either A, you ignore it, or B, you expose it. You know, if I thought somebody went overboard, I will do that, right? I'll give you an example. The whole 1099 thing. Do you know how that one came up? Do you know how that one came up? That
No,
whole
go.
1099s bit came up. It wasn't me being arrogant. It was me having a bad day. Dude, I lost my radio show. Uh my wife didn't want to be married anymore. My dog died. My kids were kind of in flux with the whole situation. My business partner had backed out. I was in a bad headspace, and somebody was coming at me that day, right? I was going through therapy. This was around the time where Joe and I had done the podcast for a little while. Then we took some time off because my head was not in it. And some punk was going off on me, calling me every name in the book, loser, this, that, and the other. And I say, hey man, I'm not a loser. I'm so glad that you lost your job. I hope you lost your radio show, lost your job. I hope you suffer because of it and all that stuff. And I said, dude, that was a hobby of mine. Like Minix and Reinagel and Pledger and Rob Thompson and the other dude that does the morning show. That is their career. Rudy J. That was their career. That's not my career. It never was. Like that was my hobby. It was a good paying hobby, but it was a hobby nonetheless. Made more with my business. And I told him, I said, hey, sorry to piss you off a little bit or disappoint you, but I that's not my source of income, man. That was a hobby. I got paid for it, but that was my hobby. And the guy kept going off about my divorce, who doesn't even know anything about anything, and all this stuff, and started calling me a loser, hoping I go broke and all that stuff. And I just basically said, I'm a loser. I said, I probably make more money than you do. And he goes, well, I'm 23 years old. Of course you make more money than me. You're middle aged. And I said, okay, what do you do for a living? And he told me what he did for a living, which wasn't much. I said, well, when I was 23 years old, I was a TV news reporter at KBB in San Antonio. I was a college graduate. I had this accolade. I had worked at a TV station in Corpus Christi. I was doing post game interviews at Spurs games and all that stuff. And I made this much money back in the year 2000 when I was 23 years old. And I said, are you doing that? And and he goes, well, no, but I got blah, blah, blah. And I said, maybe I'm a jackass, but who's a loser now? And it was me just
Fuck yeah.
bullying the bully, you know? And I kind of said something to the effect of, I got the 1099s to show it to you or prove it to you or something to that effect. And that might have been one conversation, or I might be, because it's been a couple of years. It might be a combination of 4 or 5. Like you have a character in a movie that's really a factual character, but it's really a compilation of 3 or 4 people. That might have been 3 or 4 conversations
Yeah.
that I'm putting together as one. But essentially, that was the evolution of it all. And it was, I now joke with it, although I do well for myself, man. I enjoy doing what I do. I don't work very hard anymore. I work a full-time job. Once I don't work as hard anymore is that in my business, it's hard to get a name for yourself out there, right? It's hard to get a name for yourself. I struggled for 10 years in this industry. I worked multiple jobs, multiple full-time jobs at one time, 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week away from my kids. So I'm reaping the benefits, the rewards of what I did back in 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020. And now I'm in a comfortable space where my clients are I have the clients that I need and want.
Yeah, man, bro. It's great seeing someone like your age, not someone your age. I didn't mean to call you old, but someone that's been through what you've been through, especially in just these 4 years alone, bro. I've seen the roller coaster in your life, whether it be, you know, losing the job, the marriages, and all that. And then this is your comeback story, and it's pretty dope to see you out there visiting these foreign countries and whatnot. I just tweeted at you. I was like, bro, when you're in Jamaica, if you come back with dreads, I will not be your friend anymore. I said I will cancel you myself. I said
Oh,
I'm not gonna have you culturally appropriating.
well, no, I
What's up?
mean Jamaica's cool. Jamaica's cool. They have dispensaries all over the place, and I'm not one who's opposed to that. Go check out a dispensary or two. My girlfriend is pretty interesting because she likes to travel and she does pretty well for herself, and we've done a good job of paying down all of our stuff, and we live within our means and all that stuff, and we save up and we go on these trips. It's actually not as expensive as people think, but still it's expensive for a lot of people, but I get that, but it's not as bad as what people might think it is. But we go out there for 3 or 4 days and just enjoy life and drink a lot, you know, um, do the excursions and all that stuff. It's funny because I was down in the dumps a couple of years ago, and now I have a girlfriend who is a lot more attractive than my ex. I hate to say it that way, but it just is what it is. My ex was not unattractive, but I outkicked my coverage big time this time around. She does well for herself. She's successful. She's super clean. My house, I swear, military grade. Get the white glove and just go across the table. Ain't one speck of dust in this place. It like everything is in place, in order, and it's a blessing to have this life. And you know what? She's a Spurs fan. That helps out too.
Yeah, that's perfect, bro. I'm gonna give everyone some inside baseball. When I told Mike on here, I said, Mike, you get cooked enough. You get cooked enough on social media. If anyone's gonna cook you during the show, it's gonna be the chat. It looks to seem like you're turning them over, bro. You're actually getting compliments saying how you cook that young motherfucker. Then your comeback story, it's been great, and you're doing good for yourself. Well, great for yourself. I mean, I'd switch my role with yours, at least financially, if that was possible. But I'll get there eventually. But bro, this is like the perfect comeback story. The San Antonio sports star letting you go was actually a blessing in disguise, and as long as you keep that mindset and know that the work you put in doesn't go unnoticed, then all is gonna be well for you, bro.
Well, I mean,
Let's see, we got Jeff.
I would I would tell people
Go ahead.
just simply be good at something, man, and work it. I'm good in finance. I do a really good job as a financial guy. I know I do. I joke around that I don't work as hard as I used to, because I have a big client base or a good sized client base. But man, I take care of my clients, and I really do. And they see my podcast as being funny. I get the occasional client from the podcast jumping on the boat, but more often than not, I find a client or I'm referred to somebody, and then they start listening to the show, and I find that to be interesting. But the redemption story is, for anybody who's going through crap right now, and you're down in the dumps, man, just find a friend who's going to uplift you. Find a friend who's going to roll with people who are going to be uh, appreciative and happy for your success than those who not, man. Dude, there's something that's a bad thing about the Latino culture. Some would say, I have friends, comedians who've said this before, African American culture too, where it's like when you do well, you get made fun of, or they try to bring you down, right? Like misery loves company type of thing. And if you
Misery
can
loves company.
find, yeah, if you can find someone to latch onto that wants your best interest in mind, dude, it's a great thing, man. Jeff Garcia was really good. When I was down in the dumps, James Pledger was really good. My friend Brian Reeves was good for me. Alex Noriega, Sean Quintero. They did a fantastic job kind of uplifting my spirits when I was at my lowest point. And now that I feel like I'm back on top of my game, dude, my work has never been more successful. I think Joe and I are doing the best podcast we've ever done in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it's not because of the
I
lack of
agree.
cussing. I think it's just one of those things where that's a part of it. But I think part of it is that I'm becoming more disciplined and allowing Joe to cook better. And also, I think Joe is starting to understand. We're now having conversations, me and Joe, about like what we need. Like when's the appropriate time to do the super chat? It's kind of
Yeah.
like there needs to be, it's like a Rubik's cube, but he's getting better at what I need
Yeah.
fixed, and I'm getting better at what he needs fixed. And I'm not trying to come off as a dick because I never tried to be that way with him. Joe is the heartbeat of that show. I mean, he is the heartbeat of that show. There is no show without Joe, and I know that. And he is so good at what he did. I was asked by two radio stations to look into doing something over there. I was asked by two or three other podcast networks to go with them, and I chose Joe. And it was the right choice from the get go. And now, how many podcasts have 390 episodes? How many podcasts have 2,460 subscribers? How many
Bro,
podcasts
not
now
even the
have?
mainstream podcast yet. No, y'all are
Yeah,
y'all are cooking over there at Alamo City.
yeah, we're and I'm looking forward to when the Spurs season starts and Cowboy season starts and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to see what the numbers are then. Um, there's a thing in economics and investments where it's called the floor and the ceiling, right? And the market goes like this, right? It goes up and down within a certain level, right? There's a floor, there's a ceiling, right? And at some point, if it breaks through the ceiling, the old ceiling becomes the floor. And we've done that with our podcast. We used to be like, man, it'd be great to have 300 listeners today, right? Be at 300 listeners, be great. And now 300 listeners is a bad day. And now we're excited about getting 500 to 700. And I know that come September, October, November, we're going to be looking at 1,000 listeners being a bad day. We know that that's coming. And what I like about the podcast community in San Antonio, especially for those in sports, is that we are all kind and nice to each other. One of our first guests on our show was Mike Taylor, for crying out loud. You know, we're even the San Antonio sports are still good to us. We have Rudy Campos Jr., yourself, Carolina Teague. All of us are really supporters of each other, and we understand that we're in our own lanes. There's a new guy named Darian Starling who I was going back and forth with today on Twitter.
I saw that.
He does a fantastic job doing UTSA podcasts, and I'm impressed with what he does. And part of me is thinking, how do Joe and I get this podcast to a higher level? How do we co-brand it with something? Do we co-brand it with a radio station? Do we co-brand it with a TV station? How can we do that? And what I'm doing is looking at like some of our shows. Today's show that we did, Joe and I cooked for like 17 minutes straight. It was a great 17-minute stretch. He's gonna hate that I say this, but the Sitgo guy ruined that beat for a few seconds. It's almost like if we got a good
Bro,
resume
I could
going.
tell.
I like the Sitgo
You
guy,
could
but
tell. You could tell.
yeah, I like the
You
Sitgo
could
guy.
tell when the gritos get to you, or
I don't
when you're
mind them.
talking
I
and you
don't
just
mind.
randomly hear the chiching.
Well, okay. First of all,
Now go ahead. Go ahead.
the two gritos, I'm perfectly fine with. The the guy air boxing at the Sitco station. Um, I think we
You could
could
do
save
without.
that one for the end of the show, like the comedy relief at the end of the show. But the other two gritos, I'm fine with. The Viva Mexico one, and then the old man at Market Square, I think is hysterical. It took me a while, but now I love it.
Can we agree with this comment? Do you agree with this comment, Mike? It says Mike hates Joe's drops low key. Maybe not all the time, but I do see you getting fed up a bit with the whole super chat, bro. You could only hear "Here comes the money" a certain amount of time, especially when you're cooking and it's kind of like beep. And I kind of almost seen you get your headphones and launch the motherfuckers across the room. You're like, come on,
well,
Nathan. We'll get to them. We'll get
well,
to them, Joe.
okay. So, and this is airing out laundry, right? Dirty laundry. Um,
Fuck it. Hey,
Rob
that's the
Thompson,
show. Go ahead.
Rob Thompson at San Antonio Sports Star used to say that I was the best segwayer at the station. He would say, "You have for somebody who never did radio, but I did TV. I was a TV news reporter for 7 years." He would say, for someone who never did radio, he goes, "You are the best at segueing from topic to topic." So whenever I see the super chats come in my head, I'm thinking of a segue to get back to them. So there's a formula going on in my head where I'm talking and I'm trying to do my takes and trying to go back and forth with Joe on those takes. In my head, I saw the super chat. I'm going to go back to it and I'm going to try to segue into it and go, let's go to the super chat because I saw one about Jones Garcia
So
and
Carter Bryant, for
Carter
example,
Bryant.
Carter Bryant.
I'm trying to like weave my way through into it. And if it looks like I want to throw my headphones, I apologize. But sometimes I do. But 90% of the time, I'm
No,
just grateful
man.
the super chats come in, dude. I'm just so grateful that the super chats come in. Joe is very respectful of the listeners, and I think he's trying to prevent me from like denying them what they're asking for. But I'm not trying to do
Yeah.
that. It's kind of like, but there have been times though where the super chats stack up, and the one that needs to shut the fuck up is me. Because at that point, if they're stacking up, they're stacking up. So I get it. So sometimes I'm in the wrong when it
Yeah,
comes to
bro.
it.
And I mean, I love that y'all are getting money via super chats, but could someone tell Drew that he doesn't need to pay to get his shit read online? He makes me look broke. I'm trying to get, my comments read. Like super chats are just bouncing me. And it's like, Drew, go ahead and keep that. But we're gonna start closing up here, Mike. But I wanted to give you your flowers on one more thing. You see me, I'm rocking my dad gang cap.
Yeah,
I met you when I brought home my little one, right? I
yeah.
reached out to every dad I knew and just asked them, "Hey, how do you do it?" Especially being a girl dad, like I'm scared. I've never done this before. Well, I'll get into a story maybe in a future episode of how a girl claimed she was pregnant with my kid, had the baby, um, 5 days before my birthday. Said, "Hey, your birthday present's here. I've always wanted to be a father." Shit happened. We go get DNA test. Turns out I'm not the dad. Boo hoo, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah. So when my wife and I, when she told me she was pregnant, bro, I was ecstatic, but that little PTSD kind of kicked in. Not that my wife has ever been disloyal to me. It was just like I've had my heart broken before when it came to that. But once everything came to fruition, my daughter was here. I've reached out to almost every dad. I believe I reached out to Chris Leha, yourself, Joe, and you guys gave me wonderful advice, especially you being a girl dad. I mean, I still reach out from time to time, and you've told me in the background, that you're doing a great job with your little one, and it's good to see her growing, and proud of you. And a lot of people don't get to see this side of Mike, and that's kind of where I wanted to take your episode today, brother. I feel like you've been cooked enough, and the chat in the Alamo City podcast in Area 210, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, right? They know they're attacking the character. I just wanted everyone to get to know the person behind the character. It's you, Mikey Menace, the OG.
There's an old song by Dwight Yoakam called "Streets of Bakerfield," and in that
Man, no
song,
one listens to that hillbilly shit. I'm just kidding.
well, that's
Go
an
ahead.
old time
I'm
1980s
just
country
playing.
song, right? I saw him in concert. Gonna get some heat for saying this. He opened up for George Strait and was better than George Strait that night. Facts. And I
I
love
believe
me
you.
some George Strait. But song "Streets of Bakersfield." You don't know me if you don't like me. And that's the thing is that I've had people who've come up, old radio show podcasts, come up and see me at a bar or whatever, and then hate the fact that they like me 5 minutes later. They hate the fact that they like me 5 minutes later because they realize that I'm not a dick. I'm not sitting there firing off hot takes at the bar. Um, but it's funny to meet people who listen to the show. I think it's a trip that 475 people or 530 people watched yesterday's show. That's just on YouTube. How many people watch it on Facebook and Twitter is a different number. I
Yeah,
think it's a trip that people are there watching and like the takes and I've told Joe this before. The numbers, once you get those numbers up, I had a guy come up to me the other day and said, "Hey, we listened to you at work." So we, as in it counts as one subscriber watching or listening, but they had it on the overhead at their work. And it's like, yeah, we have several people listening at one time, but they have just one connection listening. I find that it's a trip that all that is going on, and I'm not that big of a jerk. I'm not the nicest guy, but I'm not the meanest guy of all time. But I love the community that we've put together. I love our listeners and what they bring to the table, and we love the super chats. But as your show gets going and grows,
it's hard to keep up.
uh, it's make sure that you set the table. That's the important part of any radio show or any podcast is setting the table. Joe and I have the ability because we've done this show 391 times. We have the ability to just go off and run, right? I told you before the show started. I woke up at 9:55 the other day and started doing the podcast with Joe at 10. Stinky breath and all because I just went and combed my hair and I just went off to the show, grabbed some vitamin water and just kept going. But set the table. Know what you want to talk about. Set the table. Um, have a good interaction with the people that you've got going on. You have a good base of people. I'm glad that MCS has jumped on board with you. I enjoyed doing the show
Appreciate
with
it.
Joe, and we're gonna celebrate episode 400 pretty soon. We're gonna celebrate subscriber 2,500 pretty soon, and we're scratching the surface now of what's going to be a bigger podcast. We thought our podcast was dying 3 months ago, and now it's stronger than it's ever been. So it's amazing. You never know.
Yeah, brother. No,
Oh, one last
that's
thing. Can Leha beat me in a foot race? As of today, the answer is
come on,
yes.
Mike.
Okay. As of today, the answer is
Because
yes.
it's because you have that gimpy knee.
I got a gimpy. I think about a year ago, right before I went to Barbados, I think I had a chance, man. I
You
think I
had
had
him.
a fighting chance.
I don't think so. I saw Leha run up two levels at a parking garage in Austin, Texas. He took me to go to see wrestling. There
Yeah.
was a fucking crash in the lower level. He just happened to have a vest on, right? I mean, a vest in his car. He put that hole down and he was directing traffic. He came in drenched in sweat. I was like, "Bro, you're too big of a motherfucker to be moving that quick." So I don't know, Mike. I think Leha would have had your number regardless. And perfect
Dude,
segue. And
depends on the
before we end,
distance.
John.
I'm sure he can beat me in a 100-yard dash. I'm sure he can beat me in a quarter mile. What I'm thinking is I might get him on a 1 to 2 mile distance, maybe back in the day. Back in the day, up about a year ago. I need my knee to come back. My knee's actually feeling a lot better today. It feels a lot
Well,
better
that's
today.
that's good. Yeah, so
What
Jonathan Perez, Jonathan
what's
Perez.
Playhouse say? Ask Mike about the night we went to the Spurs game and he was down in the club drinking. I've gotten drunk
This
in sports games.
motherfucker. I was trying to segue into that, Mike. He said we got to get Leha and Mike to squash it. Then I was gonna bring this up, but oh, you read it. It's all fun, bro. I remember that night because Chris called us or he left the voice chat. My boy was slumped. How drunk did he get, Mike? Give us your perspective of that night. Because
uh,
that
I don't.
motherfucker was.
I don't
Go ahead.
remember him, dude. Joe. Well, Leha. I don't remember him getting too drunk. I don't. He might have played it off pretty well, but because like when I get drunk, you know it. I slur my words. I don't stand very well. I start to karaoke, right? Uh, but no, I don't remember him being too bad. But I do remember lots of drinks being pounded. That I do remember.
Yeah, bro, I remember like leaving us like a 5 minute voice chat saying, "I'm so fucked up." He's just like, "No one tell my wife, no one tell my wife." Like we didn't even know her name at the time. We're like, "Chris, you're out there drinking." Then I actually stayed up to give my big brother like, "Hey, did you get home fine?" The next day, he's like, "Man, we were talking shit to all the Spurs. The fucking drinks just kept coming." He's like, I almost got lost when we left the arena. It sounded like a good night, bro. I wish I would have been there for something like that.
Yeah.
Leha said he used to run cross country. You don't want the smoke. Well, Leha, I
Cross
mean, if
country,
everything's
not
squash,
football. Not football.
not football. uh, all right, Mike. So we ran a little bit over in time, but is there anything you want to plug, brother? Go ahead, plug your job, plug your show, and whatnot.
Yeah, he shows
This
on
is your
10 to
time.
11:30. 10 to 11:30. You know, Alamo City Podcast Network, Area 210 Podcast. Come check us out. My number for financial needs 210-508-0369, 210-508-0369. Anybody has questions about retirement planning or insurance planning, whatever the case may be, something like that, reach out to me. It was a pleasure, dude. You're doing a good job. I love the graphics, and I'm glad Sweep the League has you on. And man, I'm looking forward to it. And thanks for letting me speak my piece and letting me cuss a few times.
Yeah, man, no problem. It's good to give people another perspective of Mike, the Mike that I know. Not to sound all gay and shit. I'm not gonna go over there and kiss and hug you, but no, I'm just glad. I'm
Why
just I'm
not?
just glad that you were able to, come on here, man. You're a pretty motherfucker, but you're not that pretty. But all right, we're gonna
Hey,
end the
man.
show with that one before y'all
But
come at my ass.
and thank you for not giving me
What's
crap
up,
about Lululemon, man. That one has come and gone.
man? I can't talk shit about what I can't afford, Mike. But well, this has been the show, everyone. Be on the lookout for the next episode of Plead the Sith. I believe I'm gonna have my boy Mike Mayer from Off the Top Rope podcast out in Cali. It's gonna be a wrestling show. Mike, I hope this isn't your last appearance on the show. Um, you're welcome back here anytime, brother. All right,
Very
that's been the
nice. Very
show,
nice.
everyone. Much love. Much
Hey, man.
love.
Much love, man.